Hello and welcome to Todd Rolls Dice, where we're going to take a look at the Emperor's Children Crusade preview, I suppose. This isn't the full rules, but it gives us a little bit of an idea of what's in their codex. Obviously the codex has already been released as part of the army box, but now we're getting a further look into their Crusade, and as Crusade is probably the only way I'm going to play 40k between now and 11th, this is of most interest. I'm interested in the army. As I said, I talked myself out, but it was tough to talk myself out of picking up the army box. It was just the wrong time, and in all honesty, my mind is elsewhere at the minute with things like Halo Flashpoint and Kill Team. So I was happy to not pick these up, but all the information that we're getting I'm still very interested in. And at some point I probably will pick up a codex or something just to have a read through. But this is looking at the Emperor's Children Crusades and finding rare ingredients to brew concoctions, and they're basically trying to become brewmasters. Yeah, it's weird. But let's take a look. Get hopped up on powerful combat elixirs with the Emperor's Children on Crusade. It sounds like the worst/best 18 to 30s party ever, doesn't it? When most people embark on a Crusade campaign, they seek to gather mighty armadas, hunt down dangerous traitors, or conduct super secret operations and other important tasks. The Emperor's Children, however, are not most people, and all they really want to do is concoct the most outrageous combat stims imaginable and try them out on unsuspecting prey. How very Slaaneshi of them. Well, as we've learned, Slaanesh does like the juice, so yeah, this makes sense. But let's see what's actually going on, because crusading for basically brewing dodgy beer it's something quite close to my heart, but also it sounds a bit weird. A well-ordered mise en place is the secret to every successful kitchen, and the Sons of Fulgrim are nothing if not professionals when it comes to their combat elixirs. Their potent potables require a set amount and type of material that must be gathered from the battlefield, i.e. bodies, with most requiring some combination of common or rare ingredients. So common ingredients require substances that are readily obtained and traded for, such as freshly harvested flora and fauna or surgical supplies seed from Medicae storage stations. So at the end of every battle, roll 1d6, adding 2 to the result if you won the battle. On a 4-up, add 1 common ingredient to your common elixir stash. On a 6-up, add D3 common ingredients to your combat elixir stash. Or rare ingredients, they're harder to obtain, typically because their quality needs to be of the highest standard, or because the materials only possess the required potency when fresh. Examples of rare ingredients include fungal spores harvested from the jungles of lethal death worlds, or venom glands ripped from living bodies of venomous monsters. At the end of every battle, roll 1d6, adding 1 to the result if you won, and on a 6-up, add 1 rare ingredient to your combat elixir stash, so much rarer than the common. Once you've amassed some choice ingredients, it's time to get creative. Codex Emperor's Children contains 12 different recipes split between army and personal elixirs that affect your entire force or a particular character, respectively. You can equip as many as you want at the start of the battle. Then, at the beginning of a round of your choice, the whole lot gets slammed back in one go. Okay, they are shooting them spirits. The effects can be profound. A shot of Scoreflens gives your entire army a bonus to their weapon skill and ballistic skill. That's a bit strong. While Anfrac Silk boosts their speed so they can show off that newfound fighting prowess up close. Want all of them in one go at the same time and have one turn of absurd stim-fueled glory? Go for it. Burn your entire stash. At the very least, you'll be a legend at the next legendary jamboree. So, Scoreflens is 2 common ingredients or 1 exotic extract of xenomatter. It specifically says xenomatter, interesting. And I'll touch on that being exotic. There is the table preview down below. So it's obviously a specific thing from fighting, I would guess, a specific enemy. But the effect is quite strong. So for 1 turn, improve the ballistic skill and weapon skill characteristics of weapons equipped by Emperor's Children models from your Crusade army by 1. Army-wide, weapon skill and ballistic skill is increased by 1, which is ridiculously strong. An Anfrac Silk is a common plus a rare or an exotic extract of xenomatter. Effect: add 2 inches to the movement characteristics of Emperor's Children units from your Crusade army, so that would put them up to 9 inches of movement for the turn. That's pretty nice. Sure, there are some drawbacks. You have to down every elixir you have equipped at the same time, no chickening out, and the boost only lasts for one battle round. It's still pretty strong. You can't equip the same ones for 2 battles in a row, as your hedonites swiftly get bored of their stimulants. Okay, so that makes sense. And even if you choose not to drink them during battle, they're still lost at the end. Okay, what's the 2-star? Shame on you. Yeah, you should always be drinking them stims, I guess. What are we exactly promoting here? Because that doesn't sound like healthy living. But still, if you've got them, you use them during the battle, or you'll lose them, so just use them. True connoisseurs can amass a stash of exotic ingredients to brew their strongest potions, or otherwise stand in for other parts of lesser concoctions. Though these delicacies can only be earned by special means, the results are well worth it. Champions quaffing a draft of Sanctus 6 become very hard to kill, for instance. So Sanctus 6, you need a common plus a rare or exotic concentrate of tormented souls and an exotic infusion of traitor's blood. But the effect, for one battle round, that character has a 2-up invul save. That's a bit strong. And then Thrinine? I'm going to go Thrinine. You need 2 rare or an exotic distillate of hatred, plus another rare or an exotic distillate of false hope. And the effect each time the bearer makes an attack, a successful wound roll inflicts 1 mortal wound on the target in addition to any normal damage, or 2 mortal wounds in addition to any normal damage instead if the bearer has lost 1 or more wounds. That doesn't sound quite as good as a 2-up invul save for a battle round, I'll be honest. But still, if you need to push damage through, it's not bad. Especially when you pair that with something like Scoreflens. So you'd have your +1 to hit, and then you've got any wound you do is a mortal, potentially 2 mortal if you're already... Okay, I can see how these stack. Being a stim-crazed sensation addict is no excuse for poor bookkeeping, so the codex includes a handy sheet to keep track of your ingredients and doses. It's right opposite a shiny list of Crusade badges you can amass by being a particularly good champion of Slaanesh. Nothing motivates the Emperor's children like the promise of shiny baubles. Probably true. So you can see here you've got ingredients, common, and then the rare, and then exotic. And it looks like you can only hold 2 of each, and there is 6 specific exotics that I'm sure it will tell you how you get them. But that's quite cool. I would probably photocopy that sheet, or take a picture of it and mark whichever you've got, maybe. But that's cool, it adds a little bit more character. This isn't the Crusade I thought they'd be going on, I'll be honest, but this is quite different way of doing it. They've obviously had fun coming up with these in the studio, so... But then there are all your usual requisitions, battle traits and Crusade relics, some of which even give you new ways to earn exotic ingredients. Being a fully paid up member of Club Chaos also grants powerful boons of Slaanesh. You might transform their flesh into living silver or sprout razor sharp claws. Okay, there's some mutations going on here. This is getting a bit more heretical than I thought it was. Roll on the same boon twice, and it's curtains for your hero, who explodes into a gibbering chaos spawn and gets to spend the rest of their short existence flailing across the battlefield on a motley collection of arms, legs, and tentacles. Tragic, but amusing. That might be my favourite rule. Oh, you've already got that boon. Okay, you're now a chaos spawn. Imagine if you got your hero super powerful, you souped them up, you were ready for your next Crusade battle, and then, whoops, you're a Chaos Spawn. That's really cool. And probably quite fitting. So boons of Slaanesh, Razor Claws, improve the AP characteristic of melee weapons equipped by this model by 1. If this model destroys 1 or more units with a melee attack during a battle, excluding Imperium and Chaos units, then at the end of the battle you gain 1 extract of Xenomatter. So you kill an alien, you can take its gallbladder. But then, by taking Razor Claws, you are not getting any of the Imperium or Chaos extracts. We've got an idea of how this works anyway. If you're wondering on how to kick off your own Crusade campaign, take a look at how the Warhammer TV crew are getting started with their own. And the brand new Crusade expansion was just revealed at Adepticon. It was Armageddon. We're returning back to Armageddon with very Khornite things, Grey Knights, and Space Wolves. So in there contains rules for warp-wrecked battlefields that will be perfect for your Emperor's children. So this sounds fun. It doesn't sound like a proper Crusade. It just sounds like a bit of a dodgy pub crawl where you've got to brew your own beer and then, hey lads, we're all doing shots. Yeah, weird. But I'm okay with it because it fits. I think it fits there. I don't know. This just seems really stupid but also incredibly fun. And I think for me, 40k has been missing that fun factor. Because it is so grimdark, it's so oppressive, purposefully so. But also, it's a dice game where you paint up models however you want, and this adds a little bit of fun to that, especially with mixing weird, but ridiculously strong from what we've seen, concoctions. The 2-up invul save for a round is a bit gross. And then +1 ballistic and weapon skill. It is just for 1 turn, so, well, 1 battle round, so it probably is quite balanced, and you've got to do them all at one point. So if you don't want your extra 2-inch move, you do want your battle skill, tough luck, you've got to do everything. But still, like, this is just, it's fun. It sounds like the lads are just out for a laugh, and they're gonna, you know, do some foraging while they're murdering everything in sight. Yeah, I actually really like this. The more I see of this codex, the more I like it. I think it'd be a good read, and I think that all of this Crusade stuff is pretty interesting. I think it's gross. I do think it's gross. But isn't that part of the fun of Crusade? You make an army that is so tailored to you and your playstyle with a faction that you love, and just go off and make them stronger, better, or, you know, turn into a chaos spawn. Because these things can happen. Yeah, it sounds like an interesting read, and I genuinely think at some point I will pick up the codex and just have a skim through, and we'll have a look at it maybe together. Definitely just fun. This stuff is great, and I think that going on crusades to win back worlds from Chaos or Xenos as Imperial Guard is fun and interesting. It can create amazing moments. Space Marine Crusades where you're doing the Emperor's will, or I'm trying to think what the Dark Angels one was, probably hunting down Fallen and bringing in an extra objective that you secretly have to capture, and then you've got a fallen prisoner to interrogate and stuff. All of that is incredibly themey, it tells a narrative and it fits the army. But on the flip side, this is batshit crazy and I love it. And this is the kind of fun stuff that AOS does really well, that for me is missing from 40k, because 40k is such a grim, dark, very serious narrative. It's not always, it doesn't have to be, but that's just how I see it and how I've interacted with it. This sounds like a lot of fun. If you've already got the codex, let me know how your Crusade stuff is going. Or if you're interested in Crusade and this sounds like an interesting idea to you, and maybe you're warming up to picking up some Emperor's Children down the line, let me know in the comments. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.